Hey Nob Hill Nighthawks, here we are with Module 1, Lesson 7. Today we're going to be working on rounding multi-digit numbers to the thousands place using a vertical number line. So with this lesson, it's we're kind of transitioning to rounding. The place value chart is still going to help you, so don't kind of push that to the side. We're still going to be using that, but I'm going to be posting a video with the rounding rules if you maybe you don't remember from 3rd grade. Okay, so rounding has certain rules, as we call them, and those rules apply to anytime you're rounding, not just with the thousands place, but today we're just focusing on rounding to the thousands place, okay? So here's our first number. We have 4,100. We're rounding to the nearest thousands place. So I'm gonna underline my thousands place. And whenever we're rounding, we always look to the right of that number. So to the right of that number is our hundreds place. That's gonna help us determine if we're gonna round this up or down. Okay, and then the vertical number line looks like this. And it has 2 end points, okay? So my lower end point is going to be 4,000 because that's what I am starting with. So I always look and say, well, what if I'm rounding to my nearest thousands? 4,000 would be my lower point, okay? So 4,000 is my lower end point. And then my higher end point is going to be 1 more. So 1,000 more. So 4 plus 1,000 would be 5,000. Then I'll have a midpoint in the middle of the two. And that's going to be halfway between my 4,000 and 5,000. So halfway between them would be, I would be adding to my hundreds place, and half of 1,000 is 500. So 4,000 and 500. So now I have my lower point, my high point, and midpoint. Okay, so this is going to help me decide where I'm going to round to. And then I plot this number on my number line. So 4,100 is less than 4,500, but more than 4,000, just a little bit more. So I would plot it on my number line about there. And now we can see, is this close? Is 4,100 closer to 4,000 or closer to 5,000? It's closer to 4,000, so that means when I want to round 4,100 to the nearest thousand, we would be rounding that to 4,000. So because my number to the right of the, so if I'm rounding to the thousands place, the place value to the right is the hundreds. So because my hundreds was less than 5, less than 500, we round it down. That's one of those rounding rules. If the number to the right is 5 or more, so 5 or more, we would have rounded up to the next thousands. Okay, let's do another one together. Okay, so here's our next one. I have 4,700. I'm still rounding to the thousands place. I'm going to underline what place value I'm rounding to. I'm going to look to the right. So just looking to the right in the rule I just mentioned, you might have an idea in your head already which thousands we're going to round this to, okay? But again, my lower point is 4,000, okay? I already have 4,000, so that's my lower point. And then my high point is 1 more thousand. Midpoint is halfway between, which is 4,500. So kind of to help you find your midpoint, whatever your place value is to the right of your low point, you add 5. You put a 5 there, okay? So 4,000, 4,500. My high point is 1,000 more. Now we get to plot our number. 4,700 is more than 4,500. So that's going to go about here. And then we can visually see it's closer to 5,000 than 4,000. So that means we would round 4,700 to the nearest thousand would be 5,000. Okay. And again, if we think of our rounding rules, if the number to the right is 5 or more, you round up. If it's less than 5, we round it down like our last one. Okay. Okay, so here we have a larger number, but we're still going to round to the thousands place. Okay. So I have value in my 10,000s, but we need to note it, but that's not going to change what we're doing or how we're doing it. Okay, we're still rounding to our thousands place. I'm going to look to the right. I see a 5, so think about those rounding rules. Okay, we're still going to double check our work on our vertical number line though. So my lower point, I'm rounding to my thousands place. So everything behind it turns to a 0 because I'm going to round either down to 14,000 or one more 1,000 would be 15,000. And then halfway, you might notice something when I put my halfway mark. 14,000, I'm going to look to the right. I'm going to add 5 to that, which would be 14,500. My marker's leaking. So what do you notice? Do you see something that you notice on there? My number I'm rounding is my midpoint. Okay, so I'm rounding 14,500. It's already on there, so we can kind of plot it if we wanted to. So 14,500, remember I said if it's 5 or more, we round up, okay? So 14,500, it's right smack dab in the middle, so that might be hard to say, well, it's in the middle. Do I round up or do I round down? Well, the rounding rule, if the number to the right of the place value you're rounding to is 5 or more, we round up, okay? So we would round this up to 15,000. When we're working with rounding, this isn't an equal sign. This is our rounding sign. So if we rounded it to the nearest 1,000, it's 15,000. Okay, let's do one more with 10,000s. Okay, here's our next one. So we have 16,401. Still rounding to the thousands place. Okay, so which digits in our thousands place? 6 is in our thousands place. I'm going to look to the right of that. Okay, so it's 4. 4 is to the right. So if I'm kind of starting to remember my rounding rules, that means I'm going to be rounding down to the our lower end point. Okay, so our lower end point is going to be 16,000. So if you notice, I'm rounding to my thousands place. Okay, I already have 6 there. I turn everything to the right to zeros, and that's my lower end point. I'm going to the lower 1,000. Okay, my 10,000 stays the same because I'm not rounding to 10,000s, I'm rounding to thousands. And then my high point would be one more. So 16,000 plus 1,000 would be 17,000. Halfway to the right is my hundreds place, so I'd add 500 to that. So it's going to be 16,000 and 500. Okay. So my number is 16,401. The 1 is there, but it doesn't really matter because we look to the right of our whatever place fell we're rounding to. So we're really just looking at our hundreds place. So our hundreds place is 400, which is less than 5. So it's going to go below our midpoint, 16,401. So because it's lower than our midpoint, we round down. Okay, so 16,401 rounded to the nearest thousands place is 16,000. Good. All right, we got time for one more. Okay, here's our last problem of the day. So it's a larger number. We're still rounding to the thousands place. Okay, so it's 399,499. Lots of nines. Okay, our rounding rules stay the same. So even though our numbers are getting larger, what we know about rounding stays the same. Okay, I'm still rounding to my thousands place. So let's find our thousands here. I'm going to underline it. So I know, okay, this is what I'm rounding to. So my lower end, I'm going to look to the right. It's a 4. Kind of get in your head, where do you think we're going to round? We're going to round down. We're going to round up. Rounding rules. 4 is less than 5. Okay. So I have 399,000. That's going to be my low point. One more. Think about that for a second. 399,000. If I add one more, 399. If I add 1 to that, I'm going to be rounding. My high point would be 400,000. Okay. Midpoint. I'm still working with my hundreds place to the right. So I would add 500, a 5 to my hundreds place. 399,500. Okay. 399,000. That's my low point. I added 1 to that. Give me 400,000. 399,000 plus 500 made my midpoint. Now I can plot my number. 399,499. We just barely less than our midpoint. But even though it's barely below that midpoint, it's still below it. So it follows that rule of we're going to round down. So 399,499 rounded to the nearest thousands place would be 399,000. Okay. That was a lot of information, but don't worry. We're going to review it in our small groups if you're still confused. Watch that little video I'm going to share right now on the same day as this video with rounding rules. Just another visual. And we have a few more lessons of this. So ask questions if you are confused. Post comments on the video, and I can get back to you on those. All right, you guys, have a great day. We'll see you soon.